And for an opposing view on the immigration crisis, Janet Napolitano. She was Secretary of Homeland Security under President Obama, and she was instrumental in immigration decisions, including signing the policy that created the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, better known as DACA. She's now the president of the University of California system. Janet Napolitano, welcome back to the program. You hear what the Trump administration is arguing, that they have no choice, that once people come across the border without documentation and they don't do so at a port of entry, the administration has no choice but to enforce the law, take the parents, begin to prosecute them, and take the children away.
Of course, the administration has a choice, and the choice is not to do it, and not to do it this way. When somebody crosses the border illegally between a port of entry and is apprehended, that is a federal misdemeanor. Under the Obama administration, because of all of the consequences that occur, we would keep those individuals in the civil immigration courts. They would be given a deportation hearing and perhaps deported, but they would be kept together with their children. These are not cases of children being brought across by smugglers. Those are unaccompanied children, and that's how we treated them, as unaccompanied children. These are children coming across with their family members.
Well, the administration, again, I mean, you heard what Mercedes Schlapp, we heard it today from the president. What they are saying is that the law, as it's written now, requires them either to accept the whole family and just let them come into the country and become, not be followed, or to prosecute the parents. Where is the misunderstanding or the disconnect here in understanding what the law says?
Well, the disconnect is in how the law is enforced. In the Obama administration, we enforced the law, but we enforced it using the immigration courts and the deportation process. What the Trump administration has decided to do is to charge each of these adults as criminals, to prosecute them as criminals. Therefore, you have assistant U.S. attorneys, federal prosecutors along the border being taken away from drug smuggling cases and gun running cases and human trafficking cases to handle these misdemeanors. And once the adult is in the criminal justice system, and because then they go under the jurisdiction of the U.S. Marshals, they don't have the capacity to keep children and parents together. And that's where the separation occurs.
And that's where that rationale comes from. So you've heard the president's argument. He is saying there have been so many illegal immigrants coming into this country. He says the numbers are off the charts. He cited some numbers again today about how many hundreds and thousands of people have come in over recent administrations. He said at some point we've got to draw the line.
Well, all I would say is that in the previous administration, illegal migration across the U.S.-Mexico border was driven to 40-year lows. And as far as I can tell, that was the product of enforcement policy that made sense, as well as a strategy of working with the countries of origin to try to deter the source of the illegal migration to begin with.
So when the president says and talks about smugglers, and you mentioned this a minute ago, he said they are exploiting the law as it's written now. He said there's been a 435% increase in smuggling or attempted smuggling of not just minors, but families as well as minors.
I don't know where he gets those statistics. Frankly, I don't know where the president gets many of his statistics, and I'd have to look and I would have to verify those. But what I will tell you is that this is a humanitarian crisis on the border. When you see several thousand children now in 6 weeks taken from their parents, housed in an old Walmart, housed in tents, no system established before they started this policy to figure out, well, how will parents get reunited with their children, thereby opening the door to lengthy separations. That's just wrong. It's just not how the border needs to work, and it's not how our immigration policy and law actually works.
Let me quote one other thing the president said today. He said, Democrats love open borders. Let the whole world come in. He said they view them as potential voters who are going to go on and vote for Democrats for office.
That's so cynical. I think what the president's statement overlooks is that so many of these migrants are indeed fleeing desperate circumstances. They've made a treacherous journey to get to the United States in the hopes of achieving a better life for themselves and for their children. And as a nation who likes to say repeatedly, we are a nation of immigrants, sometimes that means that, yes, those who cross illegally are not criminally prosecuted. They're handled through the administrative immigration process.
Just very quickly, Janet Napolitano, you had meetings on Capitol Hill today about DACA, the minors issues that immigrant minors coming across without documentation. Any progress on that front?
Not that I could see, but this is yet another decision that the president could resurrect with a stroke of his pen and withdraw his order rescinding the DACA program and thereby allow the 700,000 or so dreamers in this country, students at places like the University of California, to remain here safely and securely.
Janet Napolitano, former Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you.
Thank you.